Let's see.
The biggest questions you want to be looking for if you're playing Blue Purple Luffy is how quickly can I get to 8 Dawn with this hand? And the questions you're asking if you're Silver's Rayleigh is how quickly can I attack as often as I want? Here we're seeing D-Kish go for that mulligan. Last time we saw a Rayleigh mulligan on stream, it was not the best outcome. Will that be the case now?
Well, yeah, I feel like in a game where we got a couple cards going on the side. It's okay. In a game where you don't necessarily see maybe about half of your deck you don't see, and like you need to be as aggressive as possible in this matchup. So being a best of one format, you need to be a little greedy. Seeing a hand that may come together in 3 turns is, in this particular matchup, I don't think it's worth keeping when you could potentially get a hand that's going to be going out the gates at full speed from turn 1. And we're already seeing the buggy come down to be able to search top 5 for an event card, and then we're going to hopefully be able to carry this momentum. But this is at least what he wants to see: an attacker coming out on turn 1.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and add that mole pistol to hand. It's going to be Yost's turn. The immediate pass back after activating our 2 Dawn. No plays from us. D-Kish begins their second turn of the game with 3 Dawn. Like you said, this buggy can get in there. It would require a bit more resources than normal because we are dealing with a 6K leader as Monkey D. Luffy. So not sure if D-Kish wants to maybe prioritize that, but we are going to get the double reveal of the events to pump up the buggy. And there it goes, going in for that 6. We're going to go ahead and get the counter out with the Bon Cray.
Yep, and this is one of those like turns where it's specifically nice that you are Rayleigh, because you are going to be able to, okay, we get the gear 2 coming out. It's nice that you're Rayleigh because you're able to reveal those 2 cards, buff buggy, only put 1 Dawn under him, and then immediately swing for 7 into the 6. And that's great because we have seen 2 cards come out of a 6-card hand for Yost. And at the end of the day, it may not seem like much now, but as the game goes by, you're going to feel every card missing from his hand. So Gear 2 and Bon Clay used to get out of 2 attacks. He still has to deal with the buggy, and because he's not slashed, that is possible. But yeah, I mean, this is at least a good aggressive start for D-Kish.
Yep, and we kind of need to commit a ramp card here if we want to get our 8 Dawn plan underway, and we do get one in the Bonquet. We're going to use that Dawn that we gained to go ahead and swing 7 into the buggy, get that potential attacker off the board, and force a rusher out of D-Kish if we want to get some more damage in on the following turn besides just the leader swing. Again, this was what we saw Yost doing in round 1, and what a lot of Blue Purple Luffy decks do is they really prioritize in the early turns of the game just surviving. The longer you can keep that 3 life going into your 8 Dawn turn, the better you're going to be in those later turns. And there we see Boa Hancock coming down, hopefully going to get some more events and or the Luffy. Everyone knows Boa is definitely always looking for Luffy.
Yep, found it. I don't know. The favor of RNG maybe on D-Kish's side. He did start off with the almighty legendary 6-7 opening with his swings and values, and now he's rolling into the Boa Hancock search in order to just like get that Luffy and really start to get the curve up. Just unfortunate for him that the Dawn is set up to where he is not able to play out the Luffy this particular turn, so we got to see where he comes off. But Sanji is not a bad card to play.
Sanji on turn 3, that's what you want to see for sure. We're not going to be able to get that swing in because unfortunately Rayleigh can only boost the attack of characters, cannot boost himself. And our 5 is not big enough for 6, but we are nice and set up for the next turn to really get in there. And it's worth noting that Yost only had 1 form of ramp, so we're beginning this turn with 7 Dawn instead of 8, meaning we still have to wait 1 more turn before our real advantage engine can get underway. We are going to get that swing in for 7 against the leader, though. It's going to go to hand as D-Kish, and then we're going to play the Zoro Juro and just pass.
Yep. It is also pretty cool. Like, yes, he has missed ramp, but even just being able to get himself out of an attack, but also use Gear 2 to get a card. Like, you can see that Yost is very, very polished with his deck. And even in a suboptimal curve, he's still piloting his way to his basically optimal standpoint. So we are getting Sanji coming through with an attack. And it looks like we're eyeing the ability to use a trigger. And
could be a bluff, could be a bit of a gambit we're running,
That is true.
I've been known to stare at cards a long time.
Oh, well, we do see if that top card is a card, we are seeing at least 1 card with trigger. But the Sanji's going off. That is, I believe, observation.
Yes, that is Color of Arms observation hockey. You're gonna go ahead and attach the Dawn and get a search. We're gonna go ahead and grab the Sanji there. That's going to be another thing to nicely establish, especially if we do have any removal as Yost, basically being a tough card to remove. You have to basically use a non-KO way to do it. Otherwise, your opponent will get card value still. Going
Revealing
to use
to
the
boost up the Boa Hancock, yeah.
exactly. And now it's going to go ahead and get in there for that 6. And these are the magic numbers you want to have against a deck like Monkey D. Luffy. Well, yes, you could swing 8. Well, yes, you could swing 10. Honestly, 6 is good enough because the amount of defense that purple and blue have access to is it's basically the same thing. You're still
Yep.
demanding the same cards.
Now, I do want to point out something from a caster's point of view, from a viewer's point of view. I really like that D Kish is not everybody can just sit here and memorize what cards they've revealed throughout the game. So you can see in D Kish's hand, he has both revealed events upside down so that he never is going to forget the cards
Ooh,
that his opponent has seen versus the cards that his opponent has not seen. I think he's done that to the
very heads
cards
up.
he's searched out too. Very, very good to make sure he never even accidentally reveals cards he doesn't need to. And we're playing the Luffy, which is going to play out the Sanji, and then we are going to actually just have our board stacked up and KOing the Boa Hancock to give the extra Dawn. And we are sitting here about to hit the biggest swing we've seen this game to make sure that we put blue, purple Luffy down and try to line up the kill shot. Now this is interesting too because DKish also has 4 life. He is in no danger of dying this next turn, probably even the next 2 turns. His hand is effectively swole, and he's got threats on board. He is actually in the place he wants to be as a Rayleigh.
Oh, 100%. Dekish has done a great job here of establishing his board, threatening Yost, and demanding very complicated answers from Yost. Well, yes, Yost is going to be going to the full 10 Dawn this turn thanks to that Thunder Bagua and trigger their leader ability here to get the search plus the stack. We're going to choose to put all the cards on the bottom, which means the potential of this turn just went way downhill for Yost. Well, yes, we could have alpha cards in our hand like Sanji. It's going to be a blind top deck, and that means it could fail and not get anything or get anything of value here. So we might see a more conservative turn from Yost, maybe just concerning himself with the board because, like you said, Chris, there's really no way for him to threaten Dekish at this moment in time. All you're going to do is attack and give him more value in the hand.
Yep. It's a very weird place to be in, and you can see, seeing that we saw him in a complete commanding position at one point in game 1, you can see that Yost is actually taking a lot more time to think here because he is playing off the back foot. He needs to get back into this game, and even right now, Dkish's board threatens game the following turn. If he gets rid of the Sanji, which he probably will still need to do regardless, he is going to be giving Dkish another card, and you never know when you're going to be giving your opponent a Rayleigh or a Zoro or a Kid and Killer. So this is just a very, very, very tough place to be in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Precarious position.
And on top of that, you still need to make your own game plan of pushing, threatening swings because if you just let Dekish control his board a little bit, but leave him at 4 and you don't do anything else this turn, you might have to deal with this 2 more turns from the future. And One Piece is not a game that gets weaker over time. It's a game that gets stronger over time, meaning the attacks that you were dealing with last turn, the 6s, the 8s, the 10s, they're going to become 12s potentially, 8s on average. And your
Yep.
hand is not going to be able to deal with them. So the more time Yost gives to Dekish, the worse it's going to be for him in the long run right now because his board is not threatening at all.
Dkish just allows the Sanji to go. I mean, if you defend it once with the 2 more attacks on board, you got to start defending it again. And so he just says, "Nope, we're cutting that off right now. We're gonna let this go. I'm gonna draw a card, and now you get to swing on a 5K." So
Mm-hmm.
realistically, he is making, I believe, the correct decisions in order to make the best out of his hand and kind of control the flow of what his opponent gets to do and not do.
Also, we only need 2 attacks, right? And we currently have 3. So we have
Yep.
more than enough here to go for a threatening turn against Yost. And if Yost does try to conserve a lot of his defense, again, the defense is very, quality over quantity. You'll be able to stop 3 attacks really well, but if you stop a 6K with a Gum Gum Giant, a 6K with a Gum Gum Giant, or a 6K with a 2K, and then your opponent plays 3 more bodies and then passes, that could be pretty rough to see.
Yep, legitimately, if even if Dkish doesn't play a body this turn, or the following turn, if all 3 of his attacks get blocked, Yost may simply not have enough in hand to stop the following turn. So this is a very, very complex turn from Yost because he's got to try to push Dkish closer to be maybe a 2, at most 3 turn clock, while keeping Dawn up to not die the following turn while trying to make some sort of progress here with his own board. That's three different things, and generally only two of those objectives are easily reached. You're either building a board and keeping Dawn up, building a board trying to press life, or pressing life and keeping Dawn up. It's gonna be a little hard to do all three, especially when you can only take two attacks next turn.
And I did get a little bit of a flash of Yost's hand, and I'm starting to understand why this turn has been so difficult for him to kind of map out. Is his hand actually has a lot of options for dealing with this board. I did see the 9-drop Sanji. I do see the 8-drop Luffy. I do see God Thread. So we have tons of ways to control this board, but if we don't do a good enough job of controlling the board and pushing damage, we're not going to win this game. And now we have that 8-drop Luffy coming down. We're going to discard a card from our hand. It's going to be that God Thread. We're going to bounce a character back to the hand, and we're going to
Hmm.
get in there with an AK Rush while attaching Dawn to the Zoro Joro and getting in there. Yost has found the balance he needed, the pressure and the board control to hopefully maximize his chances of winning this game.
Yeah, buddy. Like this is the polarity reverse that we were looking for to have an even balanced game. Not only is he disrupting the board, he's pushing into life and effectively right here. Like now Dkish gets a chance to put all of his Dawn at active and have another go. But effectively here, Yost has done the best he could. Like it's actually he did hit all 3 points. He condensed the board to where both these attacks have to land. We already know that with two Dawn in active mode, it is very unlikely that both of these attacks land as intended. So it's on Dkish now to provide extra attacks with Rush to try to close out game this turn. If he can't, he has to give Yost another turn to potentially disrupt his board or maybe even potentially push for game. And that's going to be a huge thing. So we got the reveal
Mhm.
off of Rayleigh.
There we see the mole pistol
Oh,
right there. It's going to go ahead and reduce the 8-drop Luffy, but then KO the Bon Kure.
and that's really great.
And yeah,
Because now we're seeing
because
a
now we can swing
huge
into it.
swing.
Yeah.
We saw the two reveals, and Sanji out here is putting a massive amount of pressure on the now reduced Luffy. And that's just such a crazy play. A lot of people just see it as straight removal, reduce something, pop something. But D Kish has tested the hand, or he's made a gamble in the hand. He's gone, nope, I think I can get both out. So here's your Bon Clay, and here's your Luffy. And just like that, he is almost ensured that he will not die the following turn. But hearing observation hockey, he is going to pick up a Kid and Killer, which is another rush. This is crazy. He might not win this turn, but he's about to put Yost on the do or die the following turn. And that is exactly what we need pressure wise when we're
Oh,
playing this.
and there we see the 4-drop Luffy coming down too, as if the Kitten Killer, the now known Kitten Killer, was not enough to maybe put Yost in a very precarious position. This Luffy not playing anything off the effect, just playing it as another body that we can attack with next turn that can hit a base 6K pretty easily. Is going to be pretty nice. So now Yost is beginning their turn here. Going to go ahead and look at that top 5 and get the stack going. Will this one be another stack that goes to the bottom, or will we have some value out of that known Sanji, known for us, not known for Dekish, in hand?
Whiffing
We're gonna
off
get
of
the
this was
Usohashi.
really rough. Really rough on the first one. But to be fair, Yost has to be a little happy because he did return that Luffy to the hand with his own Luffy. But to see the Luffy come
Yes.
back down and not drop another card alongside of it has
Yes.
to feel good. Breathing a little easier here.
That was definitely what Dekish was hoping for off that observation hockey, was a card that we can play off of this Luffy and get value out of. But unfortunately, he's gonna have to settle for Kid and Killer. There we see the
Ooh.
God Thread coming down. So even though we put our cards back on top, we're actually gonna choose to not go for any big like 9 or 8-drop plays because it's just not worth it. We're just gonna go ahead and play the 8-drop Luffy straight from our hand, get the control of the board that way, whilst still doing the thing we need to be doing if we want to actually close the game out and win it, dealing life card damage to our opponent.
Yep, and one of the things that's good here is that if he can deal 2 damage, and we saw that he's essentially getting shut out. But if he could have dropped Dkish down to 1, he would put Dkish in the same position that he's in right now. Every turn you
Mm-hmm.
have to push for game, or you run the risk of getting blown out the following turn. However, here, while he may not be able to put Dkish down in that position because Dkish has an actual encyclopedia of cards in his hand +2 life, he has eradicated his field. And while he does have a rusher that's going to come into play, Yost has once again left himself up with 2 Dawn and put the onus on Dkish to close this out, even though like this is rough. This is rough. He's been able to maintain at least two bodies going into each turn on top of his leader. So yeah, Dkish went from a commanding presence to a position where he's not on the back foot, but he's got to pull some magic out of his hat.
And we saw last game that it's really easy for the Rayleigh deck to have a handful of events when their board is empty of characters. So it can be kind of hard to constantly refuel your field when it gets decimated like Yost has been doing all game. And there we see the 6K coming in. We're going to use the Usohashi. Yes, it's an over counter, but it's still a one card stop and not a, multiple card stop.
Yep. And he all he did is there was pretty much show the Usohachi that he searched. So he hasn't gained any new knowledge. But right now he is going to play the Killer Kid. He is going to play out the Luffy. And the Luffy actually has something to drop, which is going to be a Brook to make Killer Kid even stronger.
Yep. And now I believe that Kid and Killer's going to be able to swing for 10 right now. But again, it's the only attack that is actually able to go in this turn. So we're probably just going to try to force Yost to go to 0. We're going to commit all of our Dom for this attack, swinging in 11. This will
Yep.
demand at least a copy of Giant and a 2K.
Yep, and we got Thunder Bagua and Uso
Ooh.
Hachi. And while it does get it through, this has reduced Yost's hand down to 1. So he's going to get a top 5 search, and then he's going to get his draw for turn. But I think D Kish has set himself up very well to survive this turn and then crack back next turn. We got to see some stuff. There could be some other factors, like another Luffy would be an excellent card off the top to have more disruption on this Luffy, preventing it from swinging again while being able to have another rush attacker. That would be great. I'm trying to think of what else could come out of this top 5 search for a Straw Hat. But yeah, I think that realistically, Dkish played out his turn as well as he could. He forced through not damage, but the eradication of a hand. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that just by putting on that 11, I mean, granted, 10 and 11 are still, I think, kind of the same in this case. But if that card was a 1K and not a 2K, then yeah, the 11 would have gotten through. So I think this is pretty good. He's still setting himself up to be able to swing a lot next turn.
And it is worth noting that the 8-drop Luffy that's currently in Yost's field can do a great job of getting rid of the board, but it'll cost you a card in hand. And what are you going to do? Put the Brook back in their hand? Put the 4-drop Luffy back in their hand? Those are cards that get value if they're in your hand, actually. And you can have your turn. So Yost might want to prioritize bolstering their defense rather than trying to go for removal on this turn, because putting cards like the Luffy and the Brook back in hand can actually increase Dkish's potential aggression on the next turn rather than decrease it, weirdly enough.
Yeah, and if you put the Brook back in, there's just more counter. So it's like it
Oh, that's a
gets
good
a
point.
little.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so right now we've got a blocker coming out though, and you love to see the ability to have a blocker that can filter, hopefully getting some plays. I think I just saw 2 Sanjis in his hand, which is kind of rough.
Right, especially when you're not priced into playing Sanji is the unfortunate part. Normally, that's the way that this deck kind of does the big loop of gaining so much power in the late game that other decks just cannot keep up. But right now, you're the one who needs to catch back up because you're just constantly being dealt all these haymakers. And Yost has been answering so well so far, but can he keep it up? That's the question that he needs to answer on this turn.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, if my eyes do not deceive me, he might have drawn both of those Sanjis off of that. Then I mean, that's
Mhm.
diabolical. But we do need to see how he carries out this turn. He needs to connect 3 times to win, and I think honestly, especially since he's tapped already this much of his or he's rested this much of his resources, I think we are here looking at a turn that is very unlikely to win, which means he probably needs to get this Kid and Killer off the board, and then see if he can maybe just take 1 life away from Dkish to hopefully set up for next turn. But even with that, with only 3-ish cards in hand, with only 1 life left, he has a blocker now, but that blocker is in no means safe. Not only is Dkish at a point where if he can just get 1 attack through, the other attack can be unblockable, but that there's no guarantee that blocker survives before any attacks go through versus Rayleigh.
Yeah. And it's so rough, maybe being forced to not use our 8-drop Luffy's effect and leave at least one character in play for D-Kish because one character plus Rayleigh is a threatening character.
Yep, this is rough. Uh we gotta make sure that we don't die this turn. We have to make sure that we don't set ourselves up with a for a no life rest of the dawn on my character swing. But this is not the best place to be in, especially with that Sanji in hand. I understand Yost has to keep the Sanji in hand and attempt to go super hard, but at the same time, it's kind of rough. Swinging in with Zoro for 7, and I think that D-Kish just has the hand to just get out of 7. I don't think this is going to be an issue for him.
But
Oh,
I don't think you can get
oh,
out of the
there we go.
8,
There we
but
go.
like but you can't stop the 8 cost from swinging into it as well and then bouncing the other card anyway. So you're gonna lose it no matter what. You may as well not sacrifice the 3 extra cards in hand and instead gain the extra one from life.
No, you are
Is the way
completely
Deakish is
right
thinking
about
about
that.
this. Honestly, I'm surprised he stopped the Kitten Killer the first time because I think it was pretty heads up what Yost was forced to do on that turn. I actually think Deakish sacrificed 2 cards for no reason.
Yeah, that was kind of. I apologize to you viewers for my read on that. The moment he defended Kid and Killer, it's my mentality that if you defended it for the first swing and
You're
knowing that
intending to
there's
do it the
more,
whole turn, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, like, if he was just gonna let it go that next play, I don't know why he defended it the first time. Me personally,
He
but
just didn't see it. Maybe he thought that Yost didn't have a dead card in hand that he could just throw away with the Luffy, but as we said, we had plenty of Sanjis that weren't doing anything right now, so we could just get rid of them.
mm-hmm.
So there we see the reveal. I believe those 2 cards were not known before. We're gonna go ahead and attach a Don to the Brook here and swing for that 6. We're gonna use the Sorojuro, and now we have a 1-card hand as Yost, but we have 1 life.
And
Does
one
D-Kish have
blocker.
another rush attacker? He
He
does!
does.
It's
He
the
does.
3-drop Zoro!
But there is a blocker here, and this is going to be a problem.
So do we have another rusher in hand? That'd be so crazy if we did. We do stop the attack, though. Pretty heads up from Yost. It demands so much from D-Kish to be able
I
to go
think
for a game this turn.
yeah, I think right now with one, two, three, four, with 5 Dawn active, I think that might be the writing on the wall. You've gotten 2 attacks blocked by exacties, and now you have a blocker and 1 life up. So DKish needs to connect. He needs to connect 3 times. 3 attacks need to go through unless 2 attacks are made unblockable. If 2 attacks are made unblockable, that would be great, but he only has 5 Dawn inactive. So the odds of him producing that much is bad. But on top of that, with these many cards in hand, if he keeps up all of his Dawn, he may have the ability. But we're getting a Boa to come out to search top
That's the
5.
brakes being pumped. Yeah.
Yep. The brakes are being pumped indeed. And we only have 1 life with no blockers on board. And so we really have to wonder if he can stop Yost just untapping and allotting Dawn to everything.
It's worth noting too that like Yost once again has survived a turn cycle while being at 1 life against Rayleigh, probably the most aggressive deck in the game. We have a known Luffy in D-Kish's hand too that we did not commit to the board.
Yeah. I mean, Yost looks calm and collected, but I do have to say there has to be some sweat somewhere underneath that calm and
I mean, he has
collected.
0 cards in hand.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's pretty scary.
This turn could have gone, this literally 1 attack could have gone through, and then D-Kish could have revealed like this is power and then just tried to punch for game. But like luckily you've had 2 good cards with a counter on them. You've been able to get out of both attacks, and now you're sitting behind a blocker needing to be hit twice. That's where you want to be with Yost because
Mhm.
chances are, as long as you can untap, just the Dawn you have on the board plus the bodies you have on board are enough.
Mhm. It's just a debate here from Yost. So do you take or do you block? I guess the question he would have to ask himself is, D-Kish can make an attack unblockable next turn. Is the attacker of the Nami worth more than this 1 card in life?
See, it's interesting because the
Worth
question
noting.
he's asking himself right now isn't whether or not he should take it or not. It's like further than that, it's whether or not he thinks he can game next turn, which is very interesting that he's thinking about this hard because I feel like, I mean, granted, there are like 5 or so cards in there. If there was 2 rad beams and stuff like that, I wonder how much damage
Hmm.
he could do. And I guess that's what Yost is trying to contemplate because it looks like Yost has a fair shot at game next turn. But if Yost is
Yes.
thinking, "Holy man, if I take this life and for some reason I don't have game next turn, I am cooked the following turn because this next turn he has to go." So he opts to take the card. At the end of the turn, he's going to get his top 5, then he's going to draw a card. So he's going to go up to 3 cards in hand and be able to see what he can work with.
Yeah, but you know that Dkish has the ability to make any attack he wants unblockable. So
Correct. So he
you
has
like
to end it this turn.
you've got to. And so like getting any cards here. Oh, like he's like, I'm searching and then that's the card I draw for turn. Makes sense. Makes sense. I think this attack order is going to be pretty interesting too because we kind of have to attack with the 8-drop Luffy first. We kind of cannot use its ability because that gives more counter to Dkish, unfortunately.
Mhm.
And so we
It
can
could.
we can go in for, let's see, what's the most we could do? We got, oh, it's the pudding coming down. Shuffling the hand in, the hand that Dkish has been sculpting over the past few turns. And now we're going to get a blind 5 draw. If we had rad beams, we might not anymore. If we had ways to like Supreme King hockeys and stuff, we might not have those anymore. That is potentially huge.
I have my own thoughts on pudding as a card, but I will not get into them during this particular commentary. Now, the thing here though is we haven't seen a rad beam come down. And
No.
so we don't know if these 5 cards are going to give him another lease on life. There is a chance these 5 cards still get Dkish through there because we have not seen certain cards come down. And right off the bat, we are going to see out
Supreme
the
King hockey.
Conquerors. Yep. Conquerors coming down just to make sure we blank or we hit a lot of just like damage off of this. And now we got to see because essentially what's going to go on here is that when one attack gets blocked, you're going to have to make a decision where you're going board or face. Once 2 attacks get blocked, you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to involve your blocker in your game push or hunker down for the following turn. Once the 3rd attack gets blocked, you just have to pass with your blocker up and hope that you get there. And with
But there's
Rayleigh
so
being
many
Rayleigh,
ways for Dkish to beat that blocker, though. Like
yeah,
I feel like if Yost has to go for it, right? Like, and just do the math of the best of the most you can do. You can do 8 and 9. I think you can do 8 with Nami, and then you can do 9 with the Luffy. And I think that's what we're doing here. Or
yep.
no, no,
And
we're going 7. We're going 7.
he's going with his blocker. 7 is a little risky. Like I said, I mean, we see a 2K Sanji in there, and he's got 1 Dawn up. This actually may be easy. And I see a Nami searcher in there too.
Yeah,
So
we
that's
drew all the
3.
counter. We drew all the
Oh
counter as
man.
Dkish,
Oh man. So that's 3K out of the hand to stop that attack. We now have
and now we
2
can
attacks
go.
left on board.
Yep, and one of them is a 3K base. The other one's a 7K base. So we can swing 7-6
So
and hope it's enough.
Zorjoro is 4K. So you're gonna get 7-7.
It's a 3. Well, it's
Oh,
3
3.
now because of the
Oh,
Supreme King
3. Yes,
hockey,
yes,
right?
yes, yes. Supreme Team Hockey, the Wi-Fi hockey. That's my apologies.
Oh, but there we go
Oh
with the
my
God
gosh.
Thread, actually. Oh, sorry,
Oh
no,
my
sorry, no.
gosh.
No, we're swinging with Luffy and we're using the effect,
Yes.
discarding the God Thread to bounce. That's what we're doing.
Yes, yes. And
And we
he's
swing,
taking it.
and then here we go, 7, and there it is. That's 8.
Ooh.
Wow. And then Yost just scoops
Ooh.
it up. Dkish is the winner.
Wait. So how many? He
Oh,
had 4 Dawn underneath a 3K.
it
So
was
yeah, that
7.
is the
It
7.
was
Yeah,
7.
wow.
Yeah.